With the signing of Steve Nash, a $65 million deal over 6 years, the Suns took off in 2005. After missing the playoffs the previous year, the Suns opened the season with a shocking 31-4 record, which vaulted them to the top of the league. It was fun, carefree basketball led by a scrappy Canadian point guard. Complementing Nash, a 22-year-old Amar'e, a skilled big man who could jump out of the gym. Running with them, Shawn Marion, a gazelle on the break out of UNLV who could finish with authority. Yeah, these Suns were the real deal, and a threat for their first title in team history. With athletes that could run and long-range bombers that could stretch defenses, opponents literally had no answer. Their freelance style of play and early offense brought on the moniker 7 seconds or less. Nash walked away with the MVP that year, and the team made one of the biggest one-year turnarounds in league history. The Suns finished with a league-best 62 wins, 20 loss record. You bet, they were having fun in the desert, and if it weren't for a Joe Johnson injury, they likely would have beaten the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. In 4 years, the Suns finished first in the Pacific 3 times, and in each of those 4 years, they had the league's top offensive rating. But bowing out of the playoffs and falling short of their ultimate goal would become a trend. Despite regular season success, the Suns management began to ponder, could this run-and-gun style translate into an NBA title? Playoff frustrations mounted. Familiar foes repeatedly took down the Suns when it mattered the most. Was this team really cursed? In a search for answers, the Suns management began reshaping the team. Raja Bell traded. Boris Diaw sent packing. Even Shawn Marion left the desert. Mike D'Antoni, new coach of the New York Knicks. In his place, the team turned to Terry Porter as their new head coach for the 2008 season. A tough-nosed player from back in the day for the Blazers, Porter would try to impose a defensive system in the run-and-gun Suns. Free agency brought Shaq on board, and while there were occasional flashes of brilliance, the Shaq experiment turned out to be a flop. A giant flop. Terry Porter fired before the All-Star break.
These guys are playing at a high level, but not really getting it done. Nash is a 2-time MVP. Amar'e starter in the All-Star game. Shaquille O'Neal, MVP in the All-Star game. These guys have to look themselves in the mirror, go out there and perform because they're a great team on paper.
For the first time in 4 years, and for the first time since Nash came back on board, the Suns missed the playoffs. Shaq bolted for Cleveland that summer, which marked the end to a tragic year. Newly appointed Alvin Gentry would take over the reins as head coach in 2009. A longtime D'Antoni assistant, the well-liked Gentry instilled a return to up-tempo basketball. With Gentry came a slew of new players. Jason Richardson, traded from Charlotte. A high flyer and former dunk champ, Richardson redefined himself with the Suns as a skilled three-point sniper with an ability to stretch the defense. Jared Dudley was also acquired from Charlotte. Dudley was a pest who really got after it on the defensive end. Offensively, he added yet another consistent threat from the perimeter. Another key signing was that of Channing Frye, a hometown product out of the University of Arizona. At 7 feet, Frye wasn't a typical 5-man. A consistent threat to knock down threes, Frye presented big matchup problems, and his presence spread the floor even more. Lastly, and back to join the party, was a newly rejuvenated 37-year-old Grant Hill. help of the Suns training staff, Hill found the fountain of youth in the desert. As the elder statesman of the team, Hill would average double figures and play in 81 games, starting every one.
The season was a very interesting season because, everyone had picked us to be in the middle of the pack.
That was a great team. I think if we look back to the start of that year, we were picked out of the playoffs, by all the pundits.
A healthy Stoudemire was the biggest benefactor of the new-look Suns. Thanks to the threat from downtown, Stoudemire could attack with a vengeance. Under Gentry, the Suns returned to their roots and the league began to take notice again. At the age of 35, Nash showed no signs of slowing down and continued to carve up defenses. No longer hindered by an archaic philosophy, Nash and the Suns were free to improvise at the offensive end. Returning to their run-and-gun style, the Suns crept up the standings and began eyeing the postseason. When the dust settled, the Suns shocked the league by earning the number 3 seed in the West. Oh, and by the way, this Suns team led the league in offensive efficiency yet again, with the 7th highest rating in league history. Having won 14 of their last 16 games, the Suns entered the playoffs full of confidence. In the first round, the Suns faced the 6th-ranked Blazers, led by LaMarcus Aldridge and Brandon Roy. After splitting games 1 and 2 in the desert, the Suns traveled to Portland tied 1-1. In a pivotal Game 3, Jay Rich went off, knocking down 8 threes, going 13 for 19 from the field, and lighting up the Blazers for 42 points. The Suns took a stranglehold on the series and eventually eliminated the Blazers with a Game 6 W in Portland. Next, a second-round date with the Spurs. Visions of past defeats still haunted the Suns. Would this year be any different? After taking care of business at home, the Suns would head to San Antonio up 2 games to nothing. In Game 3, Phoenix outscored the Spurs by 15 in the 4th to roll to victory and find themselves just 1 game away from taking the series.
Yeah, he got knocked down.
That's going to be stitches.
Yeah, he got hit by Tim Duncan.
Nash would leave the game in the third and receive 6 stitches. Not knowing whether he could play, with the score tied at 77, he was subbed into the game with 10 minutes left in the fourth to give it a try. In those last 10 minutes, Nash would pour in 10 points and 5 assists, leading the Suns to their first ever playoff win over the Spurs in the Nash era.
My teammates have been phenomenal, and you don't get many cracks like this, so I just wanted to give what I could for my teammates.
After years of frustration, the beating of San Antonio was cause for celebration. With that giant monkey off their back, the Suns would dance their way into the conference finals, an accomplishment that could not have been imagined even a year ago. Standing in their way was a familiar enemy, the defending champs and number 1 seed in the West, the LA Lakers. Suns fans still hadn't recovered from epic playoff losses to the Lakers. This Kobe dagger still haunts Suns Nation to this day. Down 2-0 to start the series, the Suns would return to US Airways Center for 2 must-win games at home. In Game 3, Amar'e put up 42 and 11, and Nash dropped 15 dimes in a dominant performance with their backs up against the wall. In Game 4, despite 38 points from Kobe, the Suns would roll to a comfortable victory to knot the series up at 2 games apiece. Buoyed with confidence and with momentum on their side, the Suns would travel back to LA for a crucial Game 5 at Staples Arena. Despite being down as many as 18 points late in the third quarter, the Suns clawed their way back into the game with some timely passes from Nash, and some clutch buckets when they needed them most. Down 3 with a minute to go, the Lakers rebound a Ron Artest miss, and rather than use the shot clock, Artest inexplicably shoots again, giving the Suns new life. Lucky for Artest, the Suns couldn't score on the next possession, which set the stage for the dramatic ending.
The Suns have a chance to tie the game. Nash for 3. Nash recovers. Richardson for the tie. Fry gets it. Richardson again for the tie. Yes! He banks it home. 3 opportunities for the Suns, and Jason Richardson goes last.
You cannot let him get his hands on this basketball. And you got to stay down and be disciplined because you know how well he shot fakes.
Aaron Dudley defending on Bryant. Both teams are over the foul limit. Odom will throw in. Bryant turns and comes up short. Ron Artest, who took that bad shot just a moment ago. The Suns are shocked. They will review it. It appeared he got it off on time. Ron Artest with the game winner for the Lakers. And the Suns showing they're a resilient team, and they've done very well on the road, as we talked about earlier. But this is a disheartening loss for the Suns as the series heads back to Phoenix for a Game 6.
A demoralized Suns team put up a brave fight in Game 6, but in the end, it was just too much Kobe.
We do not want this to go to a Game 7. I mean, you can't play better defense than that. You got two guys.
Shot clock now to 5. Bryant, yes.
Kobe Bryant, watch him hang, double pump, and then he says, Alvin, hey, Alvin, what do you think about that? And he taps him on the shoulder, and good-natured Alvin Gentry can only smile. Watch a little tap right here. He's like, what are you doing?
Alvin's Stoudemire. The Los Angeles Lakers have taken the Western Conference Final in 6.
With that came an abrupt end to a Cinderella season. A season in which the Suns defied the odds and came within 2 games of making the NBA Finals. 2010 marked the last time that a Suns team made the playoffs, and an end to an era of blissful, entertaining basketball.